So basically, the Hip Hop Awards section of the show did not get televised. Now, this comes to no surprise because hip hop has always been snubbed within the Grammys, and a lot of people are asking why we always get snubbed all the time. How come they never recognize us? And the thing is this, and I really don't want to chalk it down to race, but I feel like I have to in this situation. When you're talking about the board, the board of committees, you have a bunch of old age people who are probably in the 50s, 60s, most of them being white for the most part, who don't listen to rap music. Let's be honest. They're only looking out for the hits, for what grab people's attentions on the top 40 charts. Sometimes rap is there, and because of that, you're going to see the same people being nominated again, the Jay-Z's, the Kanye's, the Lil Wayne's, the Eminem's, etc., etc. And that was no different this year. Iggy Azalea was up for a couple of nominations as well too. Now, as far as it not being televised, again, it may be a racial factor. That could be one of the things, but at the same time, this is nothing new. This has been happening ever since the inception of the hip-hop or rap category back in 1980-something. And when it was announced back then that that section would not be televised, when Fresh Prince and DJ Jazzy Jeff won the Grammy, what did the hip-hop community do? They protested. And that was a good step in the right direction. But what has happened since then? No one from hip-hop has protested this. No one, actively protested. You've had people like Public Enemy say that they don't need the Grammys. You've had Jay-Z boycott the Grammys. You've had 50 Cent boycott the Grammys. But nonetheless, rappers still keep going to the Grammys. If you guys want to see change, don't go to the Grammys anymore when you know your category will not be televised. I've been watching the Grammys consistently for the last, I want to say, 10 to 12 years. I only remember certain categories, within rap being televised, maybe about 3 or 4 times at best. And it all depends on who's being given that award. It all depends on how many records did that rapper sell in order for us to have you in this category, for us to televise that category in and of itself. When Lil Wayne won the Grammy in 2009 for Best Rap Album, the man sold 1 million copies in the first week, and 4 of his singles were #1 on the charts. They had to televise that section of the Grammys, no doubt. They had no choice. When Lauryn Hill back in 1999 won God knows how many Grammys for her album, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, they had to televise it. 1998 was a booming year in hip-hop in terms of finances. They had to televise it. When you had Jay-Z, Kanye West, T.I., and Lil Wayne all in the same category at one point in time during that year, you have to televise it because those were the 4 biggest names in rap. So it should come to no surprise that these are the names that are going to get the most headlines. Therefore, those are the ones that are going to be televised. Look who we had in this year's category for Best Rap Album. We had, apart from Iggy and Eminem, we had Childish Gambino, we had Wiz Khalifa, I believe we had Lecrae, and we had Schoolboy Q. No disrespect to those artists, but they are not big enough names for the pop mainstream community to recognize. Maybe Childish Gambino because of his work on NBC and other films, but other than that, no one's going to care to pay attention to those names. Kendrick Lamar, God bless him, he won 2 Grammys that night for Best Rap Performance and then Best Rap Song for I. He most likely won that because he's endorsed by the NBA to have that song as their theme song for the NBA this year. I'm not taking it away from him at all because that's a damn good song. A damn feel-good record sampled by the Isley Brothers. You already know. But nonetheless, we can't be surprised that certain people are being left out. So another thing I want to allude to is the fact that when this is all happening, pardon me, the black community was taking notice of this. Therefore, that is why certain award shows such as the BET Awards and the NAACP Image Awards and the Soul Train Awards were created so that black people could recognize their own for their talents instead of depending on, quote unquote, the white man to recognize them, even though 9 times out of 10, they probably won't, So I feel like, if black people are upset about that, they need to go back to that function and have the Soul Train Awards recognize them for their excellence, or the Centric Awards. The Image Awards for the NAACP was created in 1960 or 1961, one of those 2 years, because of that very reason alone. And I feel like a lot of black people are forgetting that notion, and they're looking for that validation from the Grammys because it's the most prestigious of all and it projects to a much wider audience. I understand that. But if that audience doesn't give a damn about you, then why care? It's like the Toronto Raptors. The majority of the United States does not care about the Raptors. So what did the Toronto Raptors organization do? They created a slogan. What was that slogan? We the North. We don't care about America's validation. Canada's got our back. Canada knows how good of a team we are, and they know that we're about to put them on our backs. Until you guys do that, only then will these giant mainstream corporations and award shows like Billboard, AMAs, and all that are going to recognize the talents of black entertainers. That's all it comes down to at the end of the day. And the Grammys may defend their stance by saying, oh, well, we have LL Cool J as part of the Grammy committee. He hosts all the time. We have Jimmy Jam. We've had so many people a part of the committee. Yeah, but you don't recognize the hip-hop talents. And it's a shame, too, because hip-hop is arguably the driving force behind what goes on in pop culture nowadays. So I feel like they need to give hip-hop community that type of credit as far as the mainstream aspect of hip-hop goes. Because if not, then it's almost like you're just kind of taking that community for granted. So I understand from both sides, from the business perspective, but then from the artistic perspective as well, too. But going back to the black people who are angry about this, you guys need to keep in mind that there are the BET Awards, there are the Image Awards, there are the Soul Train Awards. And maybe the BET Awards, I haven't watched it in the last couple of years. There's been years where it's been really good, but there's been years where it's been forgettable. So hopefully this time around, maybe the BET Awards may be a bit better in regards to, the Grammys and what have you. So that's all I got to say about that, man. And also, that's why you also have the Source Awards, but then they got canceled. And then you had the BET Hip Hop Awards, but then last year they collapsed altogether. We're not going to get into that. It's a whole another story in and of itself. But I feel like, again, if people are mad about the direction that the Grammys have taken as far as neglecting hip-hop, not just the hip-hop awards, but some of the R&B categories as well, too, or any of the quote-unquote urban contemporary categories as well, too, then, again, black people need to look elsewhere and not look towards Grammys for that when they know they're going to be disappointed. It's like cheering for the Toronto Maple Leafs. You know you're going to get disappointed, so why bother anyway? So it is what it is when it comes to that topic.